So this is the Helios 44M-4. It's an old school screw thread mount, so it just screws into the back of your camera, and it's what the kids calling nowadays a vintage lens. So it's just an old lens, but they call it a vintage lens, right? That term is thrown around way too much nowadays. It's a beautiful lens, it really is. It's heavy, it's built like a tank. I mean, it's completely different from, you know, something like this, or the Sony 50mm right there. That's what they look like next to each other. Anyway, it's crazy popular with photographers as it has a kind of insane swirly disco-like bokeh in it, and it's cheap as hell. As it uses a screw thread mount, you're going to have to buy an adapter, and they cost about $10 to $20 depending on what you buy. I use a K&F concept adapter. It's just a piece of metal that you get your lens and you just screw it into, and then you're ready to take your camera. In my case, Sony A7R3, and you just use the E-mount adapter, put it in, and you're done. The build quality of this lens is absolutely incredible. You can tell just by holding it that the Soviets weren't messing around when they were making this. So before we get to images and film, just a quick history lesson. So this is a product of the Soviet Union, and it's actually a direct copy of a Zeiss Biotar 58mm f2. So this is a really interesting lens. After World War II, the Soviets took over the Zeiss factory and they started to take apart the Zeiss Biotar, copying it as best they could, creating an exact replica, the Helios 44. Even managing to master the optical formula for the swirly bokeh that the Zeiss was well known for. The Helios evolved through the years, from the 44 to the 44-2 to the 44M, and each of these models had many different variations. Today we're talking about the 44M-4, no doubt the most popular model, and they actually finished on the 44M-7. All the Helios lenses are very similar in image characteristics, with the later versions having slightly sharper optics. Now, the swirly bokeh and the price of this lens is why photographers all over the world have come to love this lens. On eBay, you can pick this up for about $20 to $50 depending on the condition. The original Zeiss Biotar 58 f2 you can pick up between $100 and $400+ depending on its condition. Now that's a hell of a difference. If I manage to get a good clean copy, I'll make sure I do a comparison with this Helios. When buying a lens like this, and you're buying off Amazon or eBay, make sure you look for a really clean copy. Now, what I mean by that is make sure that when you're looking at the lens, you can see my copy, it is perfect. There are no scuffs on it. The filter thread is ideal. It's not dented anywhere, so I can get a filter on there. And make sure there are photos looking through the lens so you can see if there is any sign of fungus, of haze, because you can get fungus cleaned out, but sometimes the fungus can eat through the different coats on the lens. So, and also getting it cleaned out can cost you money that you might have, might not have. And it's so what I'm saying is just spend a little bit more money to get a clean copy of the lens. And these being so popular, a lot of people just left them on their cameras, never took them off, never used them. So you can definitely find a whole load of these that are in perfect condition. Now, don't be fooled by the model number because it's Helios 44, but it's actually a 58mm lens. On an aps-c camera, it's 87mm, and it cuts out like the middle part of the frame. So the whole swirly effect of this lens, as you'll see in a minute, is round like the edges right here. So if you're cutting out like the middle of the lens, the whole swirly part, the whole point of this lens is cut out. So on an aps-c camera, I don't recommend using it if you want to get that swirly effect. It closes down to f16 and it opens up to f22. So if you guys can see that. So it's quite a nice fast lens. Now the lens is a full metal body, so it's not like this Sony 1.8 50mm, which is just all plastic. You can feel it. This is all metal body except for the actual aperture ring, which is plastic, but the rest of it is metal. By the way, have you guys subscribed yet? You know, that would be pretty cool. I'd love it. The throw distance of the focus ring is actually really long, so you can see me twisting it all the way right there from half a meter. I mean, my hand can just barely get around it all the way to infinity. So it's got a really long focus throw. So for video, it's a little bit annoying. It would be cool if the focus throw was just right there. But no, you have to literally just spin it around forever. So it's a manual lens, so everything is done by focusing with this focus ring right here. You'll get used to it really quickly. Don't be afraid of it. Using manual focus is actually quite fun, and most cameras like the A7 III, for example, they have like a focus magnifier, so you can tap in, it'll focus really close, and you can, you know, set your focus on like on the nose or eye, then you tap it again and it goes to the full frame again, so it kind of helps you with the focus. But once you get used to it, real simple. And obviously, no optical stabilization in this lens, so don't count on that. So the aperture is clicked, so from f2 to f16, if you guys see right there, you can hear and feel every single aperture go through, which isn't perfect for filming, because if you have a declicked aperture ring, then if you're going, for example, from an interior to an exterior, you can manually change it without the clicking and the kind of vibration in the lens. So you can get it declicked if you want, but originally it comes clicked. So like I said, it's a great buy. I bought mine for $30 from eBay in Poland, so that was a really good buy considering the condition this guy is in. It was literally just like nobody had ever used it. So I have a few Sony GM lenses. I'm using the 16 to 35 2.8 right now, and they are incredibly sharp, and I mean razor sharp. They all have very similar bokeh, and the build quality is incredible. Now they cost like $2,500. They're very expensive, and I use them on a day-to-day basis for filming. But if I want to mix things up, if I want to go a little bit crazy, I'm going to stick this guy on so the image is more, it's more unique. You know, all the attention is in the middle on your subject. Everything on the outside is kind of blurred. It's very chaotic in a way. And, you know, I'll stick this guy on and I will go Soviet style. It's good, yes. So what we're going to do now is look at some examples from this lens. Just to state, I did not have a filter on in front of it, so I didn't change the optical quality of the image in any way. So let's jump into the MacBook and take a look. Here's a shot I took of Sylvia and Mia through the window, a little bit soft, little glowy f2. If I drop it down to f5.6, you can see the image is a lot sharper. Here's Mia from about 10 meters, very sharp at f5.6. Now these leaves, f16, f5.6 and f2, you can see how the aperture changes, it's incredible. Here I set focus to almost infinity to see what the benches look like. At f16 it's a little bit fuzzy, f5.6 looks really sharp, and f2 the whole image is very glowy and unsharp. I shot this mural because it's flat so we can get an idea of the sharpness of the lens. This is f16, almost sharp all around. f5.6 is still very sharp. f2 is not sharp anywhere. I wanted to see what the print looks like on the bottle. This is f16, pretty sharp. f5.6, you can see the dots in the print, and f2 is kind of glowy and soft. These buildings were shot at f2. You can see the vignetting in the corners, and it's quite soft and glowy. At f5.6 it's all sharp right across the image. Here I've shot this building site at f2. If we zoom in and look at the rods, focus is set in infinity. Look how sharp they get at f5.6. In this photo you can clearly see the bokeh balls going cat-eye to the corner. This photo I shot at f2, it almost looks like an engagement ring shaped lens flare. Here the lens flare disappears at f5.6, and here at f16 it becomes a star-shaped lens flare. In this photo I had the lens pointed at the sun and ghosting is visible. In these two photos you can clearly see how the bokeh balls towards the corners create this swirly effect as they get cat-eyed. In this photo you can clearly see how the subject is isolated from the background. Sylvia and Mia are standing about 2 meters away from me, and the background, the tree, is about 3 meters away from them, and you can see how the edges are swirling, they're spinning around them. So do you have one of these Helios lenses? What do you use it for? If you had one, what would you use it for? Drop a comment down below. And that's about it for today. Remember to, subscribe. Gonna put a load more of these out, and I do have so many lenses I need to review. Anyway, catch you on the other side.